Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown featuring the legendary warriors Ben the Barman and Twilight Harbinger, as we have Skaven up against Tomb Kings on Warhammer. Should be a pretty fun game indeed. And let's hop in here and have a quick little look at the build. So we'll pop that into slow motion now. As we can see, the Skaven horde is wide and massive as usual, and they have a mixture of clan rats as well as plague monks in the front line, which is far more elite than you normally see for Skaven. Normally you see a ton of slaves and clan rats, but here we have plague monks leading the way, clan Vulcan tail slashers as well, Beric Dundarian's most favourite rats, dotted all the way along, so pretty bad to the bones front line, at least as far as Skaven are concerned. In the secondary battle line, it looks like we have a Plague Priest, as well as a bucket ton of Rat Ogres dotted all the way along, 4 units to be precise. And in the central pocket, we do have some Poisoned Wind Mortars, who are going to be supported by some Clan Rats with Spears and Slave Slingers as well. Right in the dead centre here, we have a glorious Hell Pit Abomination, one of the most disgusting creations known to mankind, and it's pretty horrible. It comes in with the Rats Emerge, where it means it can summon some Skaven Slave Spears if it dies, or it may get too horrible to die, which does give it a big old fat regen as well, which is pretty useful. Causes terror, causes fear, and can be a bit of a world beater. For leadership, we do have Ittic Claw as well, riding dirty on his Sons of Anarchy inspired bike, and he looks so cool on this thing. I wish I took him a little bit more often actually. Coming in with unlimited power, Brass Orb, Howling Warp Gale, and Warp Lightning. So a pretty fun build all round, looking to punch through the enemy as quickly and as hard as possible. As for the force of the Tomb Kings, we have some Skeleton Horseman Archers dotted on the flanks here, as well as one in the centre. Going to be trying to do a bit of harass where possible. Apart from that, we have some pretty cheap and cheerful units in the front line. Skeleton Warriors dotted all the way along. They are backed up by the slightly more elite Kepper Guard, Tomb Guard Regiment round to be precise, as well as more Tomb Guard as well. We have a double Bone Giant going for those big snipes and big damage plays, probably expecting the Skaven to go and sit back and try and out-snipe them. So instead, bringing in loads of Bone Giants and Skirmish Cav to attempt to deal with that type of build, as well as 3 units of Nekaharian Horsemen as well up on the high ground here. But it is going to be a Skaven rush, so interesting to see how he does indeed adapt to this situation. Arkan the Black is going to be on his mighty undead steed, and you see Arkan the Black really often. Him and Cetra are certainly the most powerful Tomb King's lords. Coming in with the Tomb Blade of Arkham, Staff of Nagash, we have the Liber Mortis and Spirit Leech. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. Spirit Leech is notoriously good up against Skaven, as their leaders tend to lack in the HP department, or certainly can. Ittic Claw still rocking it up to close to 4,000 health. Brass Orb is going down on the Kepper Guard, who are going to have to hustle their booty and move a little bit out the way there, as the Bone Giants are focusing down at the Poisoned Wind Mortars. So it's not a bad idea. The mortars pretty good clearance of chaff and be able to break down the Skeleton Warriors rather quickly. Kepper Guard are going to be advanced, and it looks like a well-placed Warp Lightning perhaps, so it looks like he's going to come down here. Looks like it strikes a little bit there, does some okay damage. Liber Mortis has gone down in the central pocket though, so the Clan Rats may start to struggle a little bit as the front lines do engage here in glorious hand-to-hand combat. Rat Ogres steaming forward, going to start clubbing the Skeleton Warriors with absolute abandon there. I'm going to be quite happy to break them down. Although it looks like the Hell Pit Abomination and Rat Ogres have decided to push all the way through this front line to shut down the Bone Giants, which is some lovely play coming in from Ben the Barman. He knows he needs to shut these guys down, can't let them shoot the entire game. Horsemen are being clubbed to death by Rat Ogres, although it looks like Archers are being able to fight in as well and help support these troops, but a nice summon of Clan Rats should really help break this formation rather quickly. In the central pocket, we can see Kepper Guard desperately trying to hold strong. Plague Monks are surrounding them, however, and Plague Monks really good anti-infantry all round. You can see the Skaven really trying to force their way through the front line and buckle it as quickly as possible. As it looks like the Rat Ogres are struggling a little bit here in the back line to take down the Bone Giant. Hell Pit Abomination isn't having much better luck either, trading slightly better than the Bone Giant, but there we go. A couple of nice clobbers just as I say that. Bit of a commentator's curse there, and the Bone Giant is now taking huge damage overall, which is really good. But this is something you see quite often from the Skaven rush. They've managed to push through, but can they sustain this type of advance? They do have relatively low leadership and can be a little bit squishy. A glorious Warp Lightning now coming down on the central pocket of Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors, doing some pretty nice damage. And the Clan Rats to fight a little while longer. Plague Priest, however, is starting to suffer to the Skeleton Warriors. Probably going to start running for the hills any moment now. Ittic Claw is going after Arkan here, supported by the Rat Ogres, and the Kepper Guard starting to struggle a little bit as well, as the Bone Giant is trying to clobber some of these guys down. Looks like an unlimited power has been popped here. Claw is going to roll away on his mighty wheels in order to escape that situation, but is hit by a Spirit Leech at the same time. Hellpit Abomination trying its best to take down this Bone Giant, taking a little while, but now supported by Rat Ogres, and more Skaven slowly stream into the back lines as the Tomb Guard don't do terrible in the front line, honestly. They are a little bit beat up, but the Tomb Guard certainly managed to put a bit of a beating back where the Skeleton Warriors suffered. Rat Ogres are being forced off in the back lines here by a combination of the Bone Giant as well as Ark the Black, who's doing a pretty decent job. As far as spellcasters go, he's not the worst in combat. Second Bone Giant has managed to fall back as well away from the Hellpit Abomination, using the Nekaharian Horsemen to pin in that Hellpit. And it looks like the Rat Ogres are running for the hills here. These Horsemen need to disengage and chase them off the battlefield if possible, as the Hellpit now tries to focus down at the second Bone Giant. But Legion Mortis has been popped. It looks like there's going to be some lovely cross fire, but once again, you can see the Skaven forcing their monstrous creature here onto the weakened Bone Giant to try and focus it down, which is a really solid idea. It looks like he may just be able to. Looks like a tiny little micro mishap, which of course does happen when you're trying to control so many ridiculous units. And the Rat Ogres are taking a little bit of a pounding here, but not for too long are they idle before they start darting back to the main fray. Looks like that Plague Priest has been smacked around a little bit by the bowfire of the big old Bone Giant, down to 440 health. Looking to stay strong for now. Claw getting a little tiny bit danger low, just below half health, and somehow the Kepler Guard still fighting up to 45 kills. You can see the crossfire as the Bone Giant bros try to protect each other, and some Skeleton Warriors have been summoned as well, but I don't think they're going to have the mass to pin in this Hell Pit. Maybe they'll be able to distract it long enough, though, for the Bone Giant to get in 1 or 2 more shots, which could be key. But this Hell Pit, is taking no prisoners. He's really not fussed by these Skeleton Warriors, shoveling them down and covering them in gloopy goo, I suppose, of a mixture of blood and warpstone, as he tries to hunt down that Hell Pit, or tries to hunt down the Bone Giant, and successfully does clobber it to death. But a big shot from that secondary one coming in does some pretty massive damage. And the leadership of the Skaven looking a little bit beleaguered as well. Can the Tomb Kings struggle their way back into the game? Certainly looking very Skaven favoured for now. If we look across the battlefield as well, there's nothing to really come to the aid of the Tomb Kings. It is a what you see is what you get. And Arkan is pinned down here and struggling a little bit. In come Nekaharian Horsemen as well as some Skeleton Warriors, though. It looks like they may be able to beat back the Rat Ogres here, as their low leadership is really starting to struggle here in the late game. And somehow Arkan is going to get out of this. That physical resistance really coming in clutch, and he can use these horsemen now to chase off the Rat Ogres away from the battlefield, ensure they don't come back. We do have Clan Rats and Plague Monks, though, coming to swarm the Bone Giant, who's really struggling up against this Hellpit here. He's been a real clutch pick all round. Been loving his performance so far. Claw does start to wheel away. If the Bone Giant can get 1 or 2 more shots off, however, Claw will certainly be doomed. But for now, he's quite happily going to just rear charge some Tomb Guard, help make them crumble a little bit faster, for cackling and darting away once more. Down to just 960 health, however. If he does get Spirit Leech, he could be in big trouble. Looks like Horsemen as well are going to come in to try and surround him, as a warp line in does unfortunately swing and miss. Bone Giant has gained a Chevron, but is taking massive damage from the Hellpit, who has gained 2. Trying to do as much damage as he can to the Plague Monks and the like, but there's just not enough mass to really protect this guy from such a monstrous creature. Claw, though, is starting to rout here, which is a bit of a disaster and a good way back into the game for the Tomb Kings. Down quite a lot of health, there's no way he's going to be allowed to escape here and make it to the kind of relative safety of the outskirts of the battle. And perhaps there's fight left in the Tomb Kings. Tomb Guard going toe-to-toe with Plague Monks, and Clan Rats not doing terribly badly. And the Hellpit is nipping constantly at the heels of this Bone Giant, who's managed to stand for a long time, but unfortunately the mighty creation of the gods there does indeed go down, and the Hellpit can now turn his sights onto the rather weakened Arkan. But the longer the game goes on, the better it goes for the Tomb King, if we can consistently spam Spirit Leech into the Hellpit in an attempt to bring it down. And a lot of the forces of Skaven are starting to run for the hills here. Skeleton Warrior Summon comes in and helps her break off a ton of these units. Claw is being forced away. Balance power is still heavily in favour of the Skaven at the moment, but Claw down to 370 health. When he does die or is forced off, it could possibly cause a chain rout, and you can see the force of Skaven in complete disarray here. Tomb Kings are very wisely just going to chase down as many units as possible. He needs to drag that balance power back, try and surround the Hellpit and break its leadership is certainly the best idea. And yeah, good micro here by the Tomb Kings, good diligent play, forcing off troops where they can. And it looks like Claw is so close to the edge here. as he is driven away. Managed to get up to 134 kills though. Very good display from Itic Claw as well. And it's one of those lords I wish we saw a little bit more. Lord Skrulk is still kind of the dominant pick. So it's good to see him in action, but he is indeed gone. Balance Power is swooping back into the middle here a little bit, as Archon is going to be rolling forth and running over the Plague Monks. We are going to fast forward it here, as I assume the Tomb King's player is simply going to chase down all these routing troops where possible, which is the right play here. Definitely wants to get rid of them where he can. Just chasing off the remainder of the Clan Rats, and it will simply be the last Hell Pit versus all the troops the Tomb Kings can muster. So some summons coming in would be really nice as well to help the balance power even more. We do see a Spirit Leech come down, and Archon does dive in here. Going to be cycle charging, which is a really good idea. That Hell Pit is now triple chevroned and will annihilate Archon in simply 1 or 2 hits. And in come at the Skeleton Horsemen Archers as well. Archon, as I said earlier, pretty decent melee combatant as far as it goes to spellcasters. Really nipping at the heels of the Hell Pit, which is now completely surrounded by Horsemen who are trying their best to drag him down. I mean, you could summon some more Skeletons, but I think the best play here, as long as these Horsemen are alive at least, is just a Spirit Leech spam where possible. Now, of course, that Hell Pit does have a chance to regenerate some health as well. If we have a quick little look here, I can get on top of it. It does have 2 horrible to die, so there's a chance of gaining hit points instead of dying, and it's getting very, very low here. Archon is punching so hard above his weight here, doing a fantastic job. Surrounded by Horsemen, Hell Pit is down to 1,600 health and is wavering. Leadership -1, -4, somehow stabilizes onto 4. This is incredibly close, and for the first time in the game, the Tomb Kings are favourites here. Hell Pit losing quite a lot of health. Will he get that health regen in time, or will he indeed rout as Archon continues to attack him here, desperately trying to drag him down? He's doing a fantastic job, but the Hell Pit trying to whip him with his tail a little bit here. Still 1,100 health, 700 health going down here, but boom! There he gets the 2 horrible to die, up to 3,000 health all of a sudden, and the Tomb Kings just say, you know what, I don't want anything to do with that at all. I think if that 2 horrible to die didn't pop off, that would have been a victory for the Tomb Kings. You can't get much closer than that. Massive well played there to both Ben the Barman and Twilight Harbinger himself. Fantastic game, and all the replays Ben seems to send me always end up disgustingly close. I don't know how he does it, but really good game all round, and hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. Lots of exciting stuff coming out with DLC stuff just on the horizon as well. So anyway guys, that was pretty awesome stuff, and as for the builds, I love to see Itic Claw in action as well, used effectively as well, using him to constantly cycle charge, bounce around, and some good warp lightning, some hitting, some missing. It's the Skaven way. Up to 134 kills was very impressive stuff indeed. I like the mixture of the Plague Monks in there as well. People don't expect them for some reason to go kind of quite infantry heavy. 122 and 70 kills, they're very good chaff clearers indeed. But the real MVP here, at least in the Skaven's point of view, 100% was that Hell Pit Abomination. Triple Chevron, 110 kills is very impressive, considering he spent most of the time going after those Bone Giants. Really managed to neuter their effectiveness. They still got some kills and did some decent damage to the Hell Pit itself overall, but he really managed to kind of take them by the scruff of the neck, or the scruff of the collarbone, I suppose, in this instance, and help take them out, not allow them to get too much value, which really helped swing it in Skaven's favour. Still very well played to Twilight as well. Archon being an absolute boss there, helping to assassinate Itic Claw, doing some good damage with Spirit Leech, and then going toe-to-toe with that Hell Pit Abomination till the death. And guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.